Hi, I am back. I took a break from filming this video last week because I had a very busy week with the Charterstone prototype that I'm working on. But I'm happy to be back talking about game mechanisms. And today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in a game that I haven't played and probably will never play, because if I do get it, I will get sucked into it and not do anything else. And that game is Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is the new Zelda game that's on the new Nintendo platform. And I've been just fascinated by it, partially because the game has gotten really great reviews. One of the best reviewed video games ever, I think, or at least Nintendo games ever. And partially because there have been a lot of really interesting game design videos on YouTube about the design of this game, of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'm going to discuss two mechanisms that I found particularly fascinating about this game, both of which fit under the same umbrella, which is that Zelda is, or this game, I'll call it Zelda, but that's what I'm referring to, is a completely open world game. It's a huge open world. There's tons of different stuff to go to, and you can turn in any direction and just go there, or try to go there. And the two mechanisms that stand out that make this open world really interesting, and I'd recommend actually to anyone, if you're interested in what I will talk about now, go to search on YouTube for Zelda Breath of the Wild Open World, and you'll see some really interesting game design videos about it. But the two things that stand out to me are, one of the aspects that really does make it open world, but also still makes it challenging, is that you can go anywhere, and by that I mean that you can climb any wall. You have this like little parachute thing that you can fly down from anything to anywhere. But doing those things causes you to spend stamina. So there's a limited amount of stamina that you have to climb that wall or to hang on to your little hang glider. And I think over the course of the game you can get better at that. You can have more stamina. You can use items to increase your stamina. If you eat food, you have more stamina, things like that. But there's always a limit. So even though it's open world and that you can go anywhere, climb anything, fly anywhere, fight any monster, you are limited by yourself, by your own stamina, and I really love that. The inspiration for me there in looking at open world tabletop games is the idea that, yes, the same thing. You could go anywhere. You might have items that make you better at crossing water, climbing a mountain, and you might increase your skills at doing those things. And you can always do it, even without those items. You can always still do it. You can look at that mountain and say, I'm going to try to climb that mountain because I can, but it's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of effort, maybe a lot of time. I really like that. The other open world element of Zelda that I find fascinating is that there's, in the world, and this isn't a spoiler because I haven't played the game, I don't really know, but when you wake up in this world, there's a big bad guy that you have to fight, and you know exactly where that big bad guy is. You can just look around the world and you can see it. There's some castle with this big bad guy in purple who's swirling around this castle. You can see it. You know it's really far away, but if you want to, from the first moment that you open up this game, you can just start walking towards the big bad guy, and you can go and try to fight it. So there isn't this long series of specific steps you have to go through. That you have to do this and do that, and then you find out who the bad guy is, and you can go do it. Right away, you know exactly what your one big goal in the game is, and you can go try to accomplish it right away. And I've heard that you'll get massively defeated if you try to do that. You are not ready at the beginning of the game to fight the big bad guy. Otherwise, the whole point of the game is lost. But the option is there, and I love that. I love that the option is there because it truly says, "Hey, we really did just make an open world. You can go do this thing. There's nothing preventing you from doing it other than your own skills and the lack of cool swords that you have and the lack of experience." But it's not saying you have to do this one specific thing to unlock this other specific door to get to the bad guy. It's more organic than that. It's more like life. In real life, you can't become an electrician. You can't do that unless you take certain steps. But you can take those steps as I want. I could learn on YouTube. I could go to a class. I can do a bunch of different things to meet that goal, and that's up to me. That's not a good example, but hopefully you can get what I'm saying here. I just love that it's truly that open, that the biggest bad guy and some other big things that you can go to in the game, all of them are accessible as long as you figure out how to get there, and to defeat it you have to figure out what you need to accomplish that goal. I really, really love that. I'm fascinated by that. Also, and I love with that big bad guy that is visible, that you can see it, that it's in the distance. That goal is always there. It's always in the back of your head. That's something that you have to accomplish at some point. And then you can just, if you want, you can take your time, or you can go there right away. I'm fascinated by this game. I'm kind of fascinated by open world games in general right now, but I've heard that this is the best one because of those two mechanisms that I mentioned, and a myriad of other mechanisms that go into making a really satisfying open world experience, and not just a big repetitive world where the choices that you have don't necessarily have that many consequences. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you're a video gamer and you've played these big open world games. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because that's not a world that I know a lot about other than the videos that I've watched about them. And if you are a board gamer and you have experienced open world games that maybe I haven't heard of that you'd like to share in the comments, I'd love to hear what you like about them as well. Thanks.